This week on the You Should Think This podcast, Drew joins us to talk about that first round of the NBA playoffs, who we think is most likely to get upset, our favorite and least favorite series thus far, and we talk about Draymond Green in a completely unbiased way. Thank you for tuning in. This is the You Should Think This podcast, episode 8.
Hit me with the horn, 20. Keep making noise. Keep making noise. Yeah.
All right, man. It's been a crazy playoffs so far. Incredibly entertaining. Absolutely nuts, though. We got how many teams on upset alert? I think me and you made a list. We had what? Spurs, Pacers, Toronto, Rockets, OKC.
5.
That's 5.
Including 3 top seeds, 3 1 or 2 seeds.
Yeah, 3 of the top 4. And we got 5 of the 8 series overall are on upset alert. So of all those teams, who do you think is most likely to go down?
Most likely to go down, I would have to say the Rockets, just because their one win came in OT on the back of a rookie rattling in a deep 3. And the fact that Portland and LaMarcus Aldridge specifically are playing pretty good right now. I just think that they have all the momentum even after that win. What about you?
I like your pick. Really quick before I get to mine, I just want to say, did Lillard make the All-Star game? I don't remember. I know he was in all the all the skills challenges, but was he actually in the All-Star game?
I don't remember if he was.
Because him and Aldridge don't get much love as far as like a 2-star. Because you look at every team and every team's always defined by their 2 stars, and you look at the Rockets and it's like the James Harden and Dwight Howard show and what you have in Miami and what you have in OKC, and no one ever brings up LaMarcus and Lillard as like a formidable twosome. And you look at what they're doing. I mean, Aldridge scored 80 plus in the first 2 games. Lillard's had 30-point games.
They haven't been formidable until now. I mean, has Aldridge made the playoffs yet? I'm pretty sure this is his first year in the playoffs.
I don't know if he made it. I want to say they made it and lost to Dallas when Dallas won the championship. I think they lost in the first round. So he has very, very limited playoff experience, I mean.
Was Aldridge on that team? Oh, yeah, that would have been only 4 years ago, right?
Yeah. He wasn't the player he is now. I think he was still like the LaMarcus Aldridge is the most underrated player in the league sort of guy. Now he's like so underrated that he's overrated. It's one of those things, but he's a phenomenal player.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been borderline all-star, right? I mean, it's kind of him, Love, and Griffin as the rotating power forwards in the West there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Lillard just came into the league, lighting it up immediately. Had a great year last year. This year, same. I don't think he got significantly better, but in the playoffs, he's been money, so.
Yeah, he's out of control. I really like him a lot. I predicted him I thought he was going to have like a little bit of a sophomore slump. It's completely wrong, as are most of my predictions, but that one was definitely way off. But anyway, my favorite series, my upset alert I think I'm going to go with is OKC. I've watched every game of this series, and I know both of their wins have come in overtime, but when you watch that game, their offense stagnates so horribly at the end of games, OKC I'm talking about, that I don't see them getting past this Grizzlies team that plays as a unit.
Right.
KD and especially Westbrook really just call for the ball, never look to pass it, and then just put up whatever shot they can manufacture, which often is not the best one considering you have one of the best defenses in the league trying to stop you. When they're really just honing in on those 2 guys and leaving the other 3 people on the court open.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really see OKC getting out of there. And even if they do, I'm not confident that this team can make it to the Western Conference Finals. I'm not confident they can make it to the finals anymore.
I'm not either. We'll see what happens with the Spurs, but if the Spurs are playing their best basketball, there's no way this Oklahoma City team could beat them. So I don't think they'll make the finals. Even though I picked the Rockets to be the biggest upset, if OKC did lose, I think that would be the biggest in terms of just surprising, right?
Oh, definitely.
They're the the 2 seed. They're young. I mean, I don't know.
They
Durant
have
is
the
basically in his
MVP.
prime. Right. And Westbrook is a top 10 player when healthy, which he is now. There's no way they should be losing.
Not at all. It's just, I really think if they lose in this first round, Scott Brooks is gone the next day. They're going
Yeah, I
to
was
find
going to say
someone else.
it's got to be coaching, right? Maybe there's something going on in the locker room. I always thought Westbrook and Durant wasn't exactly the best pair, just in terms of their games. I'm not saying that they would try and trade Westbrook, but it might. They might.
I don't know. I think they'd be too terrified to, considering how
The
horribly the Harden trade went.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
but I mean, when you're constantly trying to force feed the ball to KD and Westbrook, why would you want James Harden on your team also? I would much rather have Jeremy Lamb and Steven Adams sitting on my bench than having someone else that could possibly score on my team. But I mean, whatever. So,
Yeah, although we have been talking about Harden not playing great, but here's a little fake trade for you. Tell me if you would do this. Lakers top pick this year, which is going to be pretty high. Maybe another first rounder in the future. Kendall Marshall, maybe, and Pau Gasol for Westbrook and Perkins.
all right. So that leaves you get a first rounder this year, which I think is going to be top 4 for them.
Right. Which is going to
And
be Julius Randle, a really good point guard if you want it. Marcus Smart, maybe. But yeah, keep going.
and you'd get a first rounder in 2 years because you can't trade consecutive first rounders.
Okay.
Um, so that could be used on Elvin Ellis III, of course, because he's a stud. We can
Yeah,
talk
they'd
about
be
that
stupid
another
not
time.
to take him. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I don't think OKC would do that.
No,
I
I
think
don't
that would
so
be
either.
too far of a step back right now.
I'm just trying to get Westbrook to the Lakers. 'Cause I think that's where he's gonna end up. But yeah, I think they would consider trading him if they lose this series, and the reason is because, like you said, it's just Westbrook and Durant going back and forth, and you can't have Westbrook taking 4 shots in the final 2 minutes of a game when you have Durant on your team.
Yeah, I think the first thing they're going to do is get rid of the coach. And if this were to happen again, then Westbrook's gone. But there's no way that they trade Westbrook in this offseason. That's just too risky of a move.
If they hadn't messed up the Harden trade so much, I think it'd be more likely. But because they played really well without Westbrook
He
throughout
did.
the year.
Yeah, he did. He played incredibly.
I'm not even just Durant, but the whole team. Like they were more of a team. Serge Ibaka had a much bigger role. They actually had this thing, ball movement. Some teams utilize it, some don't. That was nice to see from them. So I'm such a fan of like team basketball, that it annoys me when Russell Westbrook dribbles for 18 seconds and then tries to do something.
Yeah, he dribbled out an entire shot clock last night in the last 2 minutes. He literally took the inbound pass and dribbled it until he had to put something up at the buzzer.
Oh God. Just watch it. Just the juxtaposition of him and Mike Conley. It's like, I would rather have Conley if I was a coach. He's just such a good pure point guard, but Westbrook's got the talent.
What about this trade that I just made up on the spot and never actually checked with anything? Westbrook to the Bulls and Derrick Rose comes to OKC. And, and some other stuff, but it's centered around Westbrook and then Rose.
Interesting.
And maybe Butler? I don't know.
I can't imagine in my mind, because I haven't seen Derrick Rose play in, a decade? So I'm trying to imagine how his fit would be with. I know he definitely passes more than Westbrook, but I don't know. I like it for sure.
Who's going to be more athletic when Rose returns? Rose or the original Kendall Marshall trade? They're both-
Okay. I made myself an easy target with that. But I always thought that. This is the Bill Simmons fueled, trade idea. But the Westbrook for Rondo with picks and other pieces, I think would be interesting.
I think that's the most
Rondo's
likely.
A fantastic fit for OKC.
Yeah, I think that one actually fits way more.
And
yeah,
he
I
came
would
back
like to
and was
play
fine,
around with
so,
that.
yeah.
I'd like to play around with that. I'd like to hear some rumors on that because that's an interesting one for sure, especially considering What else would they get? Would they get Rondo and their first rounder?
We'll see. The Celtics have like 4 first-round picks in the next 2 years because of the Nets trade.
That's right.
So they could do picks. They have young talent. I mean, Sullinger, I don't know if the OKC would want him, but they have him. I think Olynyk's a decent skill big.
I bet if they traded Westbrook to Boston, it would be with the caveat that you have to take either Gerald Wallace or Jeff Green, for money reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's interesting. Anyway,
probably spent too much time on that. But,
yeah, that's all right. Whatever. Favorite series? What's your favorite series so far? Because I guess I should say you're a Timberwolves fan. I'm a Pistons fan. We don't have any horses in the race.
No.
We just kind of watch all the teams and just admire how good basketball can look.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah.
Silently weep for our own teams.
True. Like I was saying earlier, my favorite series for purely selfish reasons is the Wizards-Bulls. The Wizards are my adopted team.
Always or just this year?
Just this year. I had John Wall and B on my fantasy team, and then I added them to my league pass, so I watched them all year. And they're like an adopted child. I'll always love them less than my Timberwolves, but there's still something there. I still go to the game and cheer for them.
Nice.
So yeah, that's my favorite series. They came out extremely hot. Nene just doing work on the Defensive Player of the Year. Game 3, Mike Dunleavy's corpse came. They rolled him out onto the court, and he had the greatest game of his basketball career. And now it's a bit more of a series, but that's been, for me personally, again, the best series to watch. How about you?
I just want to say, how does Mike Dunleavy score almost 35 points? And the Bulls, I don't think they cracked 100 that game. I hope I'm right on that. But they still didn't crack 100, and they still barely won.
That's what
makes me so worried.
He had 8 or 9 threes on like 11 or 12 attempts.
I think he
ridiculous.
I thought he went 8 for 10, but I could be wrong.
8 for 10? Okay. That sounds about right, yeah.
It was just unreal. I was watching that game, and I'm not a big Dunleavy fan at all. And he was just stroking. Every single shot that left his hand looked pure, and dude couldn't miss. Until they put him in late in the fourth, and he looked way out of whack. Like, he kept turning it over. He turned over an inbound pass.
Oh, that was bad, yeah.
Yeah. So, just stick to shooting in the first 3 quarters, and we'll let the other players handle the last second play, but whatever. My favorite series has been OKC, just because I really enjoy watching Memphis. I love the whole grit and grind persona they have. I think that the Grind Father is hands down the best nickname in all of sports right now. And I really think there's going to be an upset. So even though the games, like, they get like painfully slow at the end because OKC's offense is so sluggish. But
and the Grizzlies play slow on purpose, so
yeah,
you got 2.
Exactly. So watching the last 2 minutes is like Andy Dufresne escaping Shawshank. But they have had 3 overtime games, so that's entertaining. So it's been a fun series.
Yeah.
Outside of that, what's on the opposite end of the spectrum for you? Your least favorite series?
I would say the Nets and the Raptors. I watched most of the first game. I don't know why. I think I just had nothing to do that day, and and it was terribly boring. And since then, really nothing has happened. Yeah, I don't know. And I really cannot stand Paul Pierce, especially when did you see him? They had like a mic on him, and he was saying, "That's why they brought me here." After he hit like one deep 2.
Dude, I love the truth.
You do. I hate
him.
him.
Yeah.
Ever since the wheelchair incident, I've been off the Paul Pierce bandwagon. And his facial hair alone just makes my blood boil. So that's been the least entertaining series for me.
That one has been shitty. I mean, I've watched a lot of that series as well. The first game was basically just, Paul Pierce took over. That's why they brought him there. Second game, DeMar DeRozan kind of took over. And then that third game was just a lot of, like, no individual took over, but I know the Brooklyn backcourt was incredible that game.
Yeah.
Which is really surprising to me, considering Lowry's guarding one of them, and Lowry's such a great defender. I haven't been watching close enough to know why Joe Johnson and Drawn Williams scored like almost 50 combined, but I don't know.
I think part of the problem is Lowry is really him and DeRozan are their offense, so you're burning energy. I mean, he was a great defender in like Houston when he wasn't a focal point of the offense. So now he just might not have the ability to go both ways so hard. But just a real quick little side note. I was having this discussion with somebody. I said that John Wall and Bradley Beal might be, in the next few years here, the best backcourt in the NBA. And this kind of ties into the whole Nets, because the Nets are those guys are both older, on the downturn, really. What do you think?
I think my counter argument to that would have been John Wall and Bradley Beal are the best backcourt right now already.
Oh, mic drop.
No, I don't know if that's true, but I really like them. I don't know if I'd put them tops, but I could definitely see in a few years. And honestly, I think you can make the argument for right now too.
Yeah.
They really have been incredible. Bradley Beal, I didn't spend a whole lot of time watching Bradley Beal, but man, his shot is so smooth.
It's ridiculous from wherever too. That's one of the things. Some guys are just really good at threes, and some guys have like a mid-range game. He's got both, and it just looks the same.
And he's got it off the dribble. He's got it coming off screens, just spot up. He can hit it in all sorts of ways. He's a good player. He's a really good player. And that team has a lot of talent on it. I really, really regret backing Chicago on a bet that they were going to win that series. So that's been my least favorite series. But I guess it's entertaining for the right reasons, though.
Yeah.
All right. From there, we said favorite, we said least. We put together a team here. It's sort of the all first half of the first round team. All players, that are also not all-stars. So the all first half of the first round non-all-star team, which we just dubbed the all Not-Roy-Hibbert team. And this is our 5. Just guys that have been blowing up in the playoffs. We agreed on Jeff Teague at point guard. Have you watched a lot of the Atlanta series?
I have. Up until yesterday, that was probably my favorite series, but now I think the Pacers have it. But Jeff Teague has just been working George Hill. He just getting to the rim at will. His step back threes. Who is Jeff Teague? I mean, who is this guy? And him combined with Millsap and the Bizarro Pekovic, whoever that guy is, that's their center. They've been super entertaining to watch, especially I love personally watching the Pacers implode. But
can I just say this about Paroantic is you can't be a defensive player of the year candidate and then everyone's worried about how much of a mismatch Paroantic is going to be on you. Roy Hibbert does not deserve to be on that ballot anymore.
Yeah.
Considering he's losing all of his fourth quarter playing time because Paroantic is playing.
Maybe that just says more about the league. I mean, because centers who win, you're right, centers who win Defensive Player of the Year, Dwight Howard, Tyson Chandler, are excellent pick and roll defenders. Whereas Hibbert isn't. I mean, he doesn't really leave the paint ever. Yeah.
And when he does, he looks like he's standing on ice. Yeah. He's useless out there.
So yeah, Jeff Teague, clearly the point guard that we're taking.
Yeah, he's been incredible. And all of the city of Atlanta has really backed him and shown a lot of love. Just kidding. I don't think anybody in the city knows that the playoffs have started. As usual, Atlanta, their fan base has disappointed me. I met one set of people with any Hawks gear in the past week. I was at a Waffle House, and there were these 2 older ladies wearing Atlanta gear, and I go, "Hey, did you guys get some tickets for the game today?" And they're like, "Yeah, we bought some for $25."
That is pathetic.
You're in the playoffs, about to pull an upset on the 1 seed, and nobody in the city cares. God. Anyway, the next spot on our team, mostly because we couldn't figure out any non-All-Stars, we basically were settling on Al Jefferson, Paul Millsap, and DeMar DeRozan, who are all All-Stars, but not household names. Mm-hmm. And we went with DeMar DeRozan in the end, because we already had a Hawk, and Al Jefferson hurt his foot, unfortunately, even though he's playing phenomenally. But DeMar DeRozan is our 2 guard on the all non-Roy Hibbert team. And like we said earlier, he's he stole a game for Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Game 2 was DeMar DeRozan.
Two 30-point games in a row. He's making the Nets perimeter defense look about what they should look like when you have Joe Johnson and Paul Pierce out there. So it's just showing that, they're gonna lose. Whether is it Miami that they would play next? Is that right?
Yeah.
So yeah, they're just gonna get torn apart by Wade and LeBron. If DeRozan is putting up 30.
Man, I disagree. I think Brooklyn is a good matchup.
Really?
The Heat. Yeah, they switch they're so long. They play like that pseudo small ball, like where they put Paul Pierce at the 4. But the reason I call it pseudo small ball is because Williams is such a big point guard. Joe Johnson's such a good 2 guard that they're still really big and they still have length across all 4 positions because they'll throw out AK-47 too. So that length has bothered Miami all year. I know Brooklyn swept Miami in the regular season, and I know that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But still, they show that they can match up with Miami in a weird way that other teams can't, and that they can switch on every single pick.
Yeah, that's true, especially when they play Livingston, that they're pretty long. I think the switching is a problem when you play Miami, though, because of how quickly they move the ball, and then you end up with somebody on LeBron you don't want on LeBron. I mean, like any series with Miami, it'll come down to what LeBron can do, but I don't have confidence in them beating the Heat. I don't know.
I mean,
we'll see.
They do have the truth, so you never know.
True. They brought the truth there.
And that's why he's there.
Yeah. All right, well, I didn't think about that aspect of it. I'll have to rethink the series. That is why he's there.
All right, we pretty much just threw positions out the window when we did this. So we had 2 guards. We have 2 wing players and a center. Our first wing player is Tony Allen, who has been a one-man wrecking crew against Kevin Durant. Granted, Kevin Durant's still putting up 30 a night, but it is a struggle of a 30-point night. He's working for every single basket. Tony Allen refuses to be picked by anybody. Nobody can set a pick on this guy. He just gets through everything.
Yep. And what is he, 6'4"?
I think
6'5",
so.
maybe?
I think he's 6'4".
And he has to guard Kevin Durant, who's what, 6'10"?
6'10", yep.
A long 6'10".
Exactly, yeah.
It's just incredible. Not to mention he's the MVP and back-to-back scoring champ. I mean...
I know, actually, Melo stole one of those, but...
Oh, did he?
Yeah, but...
That's right, like the last game of the season.
I think he's won 3 of the last 4 or something like that.
That's ridiculous.
But Tony Allen, the grind father, has just been playing out of his mind. He denies every single entry pass to KD, because you know how OKC rolls is they just get into the half court, post up KD, throw an entry pass to him, he runs back out to the 3-point line, and then they start their offense. They have not been able to get that entry pass to him at all. Tony Allen's just a hound on him. It's great to watch. And you get all the pleasure of backdoor cuts from Tony Allen, who's like one of the best players at doing that.
Yeah, because that's the only way he can score.
Oh yeah, not much of a shooter.
Props. And when you got Gasol just firing those bounce passes.
Oh yeah, he'll find anybody.
They're a great playoff team.
Our second wing player is Draymond Green, MSU.
Our least biased pick.
Yeah.
This is purely just observational, objective team picking here.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time looking at SportView statistics, and it said that Draymond Green is the most incredible player in the NBA. That's actually what the data concluded, not
nice.
Me.
Well, I'm glad the data matches our eyes.
Yeah,
so that's always nice.
He also passes the eye test. Yeah, that's a good point. But he's played phenomenally. He's earned all of his time. He's doing the same thing he's did all throughout college, where he just slowly fills up the stat sheet across the board. You know, he'll get 8, and 5, and play phenomenal defense all game. And he's kind of outplayed Harrison Barnes, making me think that he's more of the quote-unquote X factor of this team.
I think I would agree, for the sole reason of defense. I mean, Barnes can't play it, and Draymond can play pretty well. And he was even D'ing up Paul Pierce, Chris Paul. Yeah, and he wasn't shutting Chris Paul down. But if you can stay in front of Chris Paul, that is a huge advantage for your team, especially when you have the length of Day who can influence lob passes and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. I think he's probably their X factor. It'll be interesting to see if they play him more minutes and if that will change his output.
Yeah,
if
like
that'll
his
actually
counting
hurt him.
stats will go up, you mean?
Well, it's more just about, how much time, because when you play less minutes, you get out there and you can really give great minutes. Whereas when you're playing more minutes, you have to kind of pick spots to not exactly go all out. But no, he's clearly on the team. He's the reason we made this team. So
we really just tried to come up with a reason to talk about Draymond Green, and that was
pretty much.
He's been the man. He did get that game-sealing steal in Game 1. I mean,
he also
yes,
was it
the
Game
NBA
1 with the
came
block
out and
too.
said it was a foul, but hey, if the ref doesn't call it, it's not a foul in my book.
Wasn't it Game 1 too with the block, the transition block?
Yeah, that was
in
sweet.
the last few minutes. That was big.
Basically, it's now Draymond Green's team.
That's what we were getting at.
Yeah.
I think he's probably their most untradeable player. I know they like Stephen Curry. Like, they're pretty happy with Curry, but they cannot lose Green.
Yeah, if they really need a Curry, Seth Curry is still on the market.
Yeah, he's just out there.
Yeah. Anyway, our actual only other guy who plays his position is Nene at center, who's showing everybody why he was given that big contract by the Wizards. Like, the type of talent this guy has it's always surprising when you see him play to his potential, because for some reason he never seems to play this way, but when he does, he looks like he could be a top 3 center in the league. Like, if you watched one game of these playoffs and you didn't know, like if you didn't have a background in the NBA, you might think Nene is one of the top centers in the league.
He's just so skilled. He's got the foreign skills, I call it, like him and Marc Gasol and other countries that actually play, fundamental basketball when you're young. And so he's not the most athletic, but he's big. He's just ripped. And he has incredible skill. Got a jump shot. He's got post moves.
He can finish with his left and right, go over both shoulders.
Yep. He's a good passer for a big. He's really good at grabbing the back of people's heads when he gets mad at them. That's underrated skill he has.
That was scary. I was like nervous.
I know. I didn't know what was going to happen. It's just like, holy what is he doing? Is he just going to bring his head down onto his knee and just kill him on the court? Like,
I love how Jimmy Butler didn't back down at all, though.
That was impressive because, again, Nene ripped. 6'11", just a massive human being.
He looks like a predator from the Predator movies with those.
He's got that predator
with those dreads.
Yeah. Right. But is he out for a game? Is it just today?
He got suspended for today's game.
Okay.
So we almost couldn't put him on our team just because this team has ethics and it has a team code. Any team led by Draymond Green, of course, has these ethics.
Of course.
But he's played out of his mind, and he's made Joakim Noah. He's basically done whatever he's wanted on the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And it's hard to blame Noah, though, because Noah, even though he's a phenomenal defender, he's really width-wise and just mass-wise, he's a little undersized for a center.
He's pretty slight. And that's one of the reasons he won Defensive Player of the Year is because he's quick and he can play perimeter D, like we were saying earlier, as a center. But then when you put him on the post, or put him down on the block all by himself with a guy at Nene's size and skill, doesn't look quite so good.
Yeah, and the other big guy, I mean, Washington, we always talk about the Pacers rolling out 2 bigs, and we talk about the Grizzlies rolling out 2 bigs, and no one ever talks about the Wizards doing the same thing. Gortat and Nene are both very skilled players.
Yeah.
And they can play interchangeably at the 4 and 5.
Which is more than you can say for Indiana, at least.
Yeah.
Because you're not playing Hibbert at the 4.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll be, if those 2 teams advance, that'll be really interesting, because I think Nene on the block against Hibbert will not be as effective as against Noah. However, like you said, then you have the mismatch. Who's going to guard who? You got Gortat, you got Nene. Either one of them, I think, could take David West down low. And either one of them could probably take Roy-Hibbert at the elbow. So
I think pretty much anybody can take Roy-Hibbert at the elbow. Well,
I could take Roy-Hibbert at the elbow. But now, the more that I think about it, the more excited I'm getting for that series. And you got Ariza, who's had a great year, who's going to get paid next year.
Veteran who's won a championship, so he's done all this before.
True. He'll be up against Paul George. And then you have, in our estimation, maybe the best backcourt in the league. Frustrating Born Ready to the point of him probably punching somebody. A fan, his coach, whoever. Whoever's in range.
Indiana's backcourt really has become like possibly the worst backcourt in the playoffs right now, with George Hill and Stevenson just playing complete garbage ball.
Yeah, it's just a mess.
So John Wall and Bradley Beal could do some nasty things to them. I would hate for Indiana to like get their stride against Washington. I would much rather see Washington advance.
Oh, me too.
They're just more entertaining. They seem that they like each other. They like to play with each other.
However, I think Washington, if we're saying Miami's going to be in the finals, I think I'd rather see Pacers Heat. I think the Pacers aren't afraid of Miami and that they would play their best ball, whereas the Wizards, I don't know. They'd give them a run, especially athletically, but I think Pacers Heat would be a better Eastern Conference final.
I see where you're coming from on that. I don't know. I think Nene could really dominate a Heat series as well.
He could.
He could push Bosch around easily.
I don't know the win-loss this season, but I'm pretty sure I remember Washington playing the Heat real tight. I know they beat him I'm pretty sure they beat him at least once. And that's a tough matchup for the Heat, because again, the Heat don't have a great defensive guards. Wall could probably do whatever he wants against him. You might be forcing LeBron to guard Wall in the end of the game, which I don't know how that would turn out.
It'd probably go in LeBron's favor. Most things do. He's a hell of a player.
Yeah, I think is LeBron underrated at this point? We're just throwing it around. Just like, oh, LeBron, yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, whatever.
He's not the MVP or anything. But he's pretty good.
He's not on the all Not-Roy-Hibbert team, so
that's true. So basically, Day-Day's better.
He's no Draymond Green, but I guess whatever. But yeah, agree with all that. What was I going to say? Blanked out here. Oh, I was going to say, if Nene can bully around Bosch and they can force Miami to use Dwayne Wade to guard either Wall or Beal, then I think they could tire out Wade and make him less effective while at the same time owning the glass. So I think they could do it.
I like that. I
would much rather like to root for Washington than I would like to root for Indiana at this point.
Yeah, and they're my team, my children. But that's interesting. I didn't think about that, because Beal runs off screens like Rip Hamilton style, and then Wall is just the fastest player in the league. So either way, Wade has to guard one of them.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Unless they hide Wade on Trevor Ariza, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. Because in order to guard the Washington guards fully, you have to play small. But then Washington's playing big. Washington's a good team, aren't they?
They really are. Yeah, they're just quietly a good matchup.
They have a fantastic matchup. Two good bigs, two great guards, and they have a defensive shooting 3-man.
Mm-hmm.
That is all right. I think Washington's going to win the whole thing.
I think this is
their championship to lose.
It's the year of the Wizards. All right. Real quick to end this up, let's just rapid fire every series and where they're at. So right now, Spurs are down 2-1. Who you got in that series?
Spurs.
You think they'll come back?
Yeah.
I don't have the balls to pick Dallas, so I'm going to pick the Spurs too. I don't have the balls to pick against Tim Duncan, against Popovich. I don't see it. I just don't see it happening.
Me neither.
Especially considering Vince Carter had to hit a last-second shot for them to be in this spot, and he hit it, and he was so shocked that he had hit a game winner in the playoffs that he clearly didn't know what to do with his arms, and they just drifted out to his side, Ricky Bobby style. It was awkward, but good for him.
Yeah, those games have all been close, and if it's going to be close, I'm picking the Spurs. So
Yeah. All right. Next series, OKC Memphis. I already said I think Memphis is going to take it.
I'll be contrarian here and I'll pick OKC. They'll get their stuff together and do it. I don't know. I hope Memphis wins.
It's hard to pick against Kendrick Perkins. I understand.
Yeah.
Clippers, Golden State. Who you got? Clippers are up 2-1 right now. Clippers now with some very serious off the court drama they're gonna have to deal with.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that, but yeah. Because they're up 2-1, I'm gonna pick the Clippers.
I don't know. Draymond Green is on the Warriors. Donald Sterling is just a raging racist. I think I'm gonna still go with the Clippers though.
Yeah.
I think Doc Rivers will somehow get that team. That's to play for each other, sort of thing. And Chris Paul, same thing. They'll get the team to play for one another, and not for management, and not have that in mind.
I always forget about the Doc Rivers angle, but yeah, I saw an interesting stat. Chris Paul has won 2 playoff series in his entire career.
Yeah, if he gets bounced in the first round, is he overrated? What has he really done?
It's tough because you watch him and he's clearly the best point guard in the league. I cannot even fathom an argument against that. But then when at what point is the point guard in charge of winning playoff series?
At what point? How long into a guy's career does he have to go before you're finally ready to admit he's not a playoff player, or he's not this, or he's not that? You know what I mean? To make that conclusion.
Yeah.
But we'll wait till the end of the series to say all that stuff. There's actually a handful of players. Great. We can put that topic on a off-season podcast because there are a handful of players where I'm questioning, are they good or not, sort of thing.
Or at least as good as we say they are.
Exactly, yeah. And I think Chris Paul, if they get bounced, Chris Paul would have to be in that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And, I want this podcast to finish on a happy note, so I don't want to say that Kevin Love is in that list. So I won't say it.
Well, no, Kevin Love is still holding down that underrated list. Until we admit that he is a top 10 player ever, he will be underrated.
All right, then Houston, Portland. Portland's up 2-1. Who you got?
I got Portland.
Yeah, I got Portland too.
Rip City.
Yep. Damian Lillard and Aldridge are pretty much scoring at will.
And until Harden turns it around, there's no evidence that the Rockets can win that.
Exactly. Indiana, Atlanta, tied 2-2.
I got Indiana now, unfortunately.
All right. I have Indiana winning it, but I think Atlanta's going to win another game.
Okay. That's more optimistic than me. I got Indiana reeling off the next 2.
I think Atlanta will steal one more, and then Indiana will win in Game 7. Sort of thing.
Fair.
Miami, Charlotte. Miami's up 3-0. No time on that. I mean,
Let's go, Miami.
Yeah, they're pretty much the only team in the entire playoffs taking care of business.
Yeah, Charlotte's only hope can't walk up the court, so.
Yeah, that's sad. That's a bummer, because it would have been fun to watch them fight at least.
Yeah, for sure.
And now they have all these minutes going to Chris Douglas Roberts, who I am 99% sure that he's just a grown-up version of Otto Rocket from Rocket Power.
That's good, that hair.
So when I watch the game, I'm at least happy knowing the happy ending that my childhood cartoons are growing up to have.
He's from the D, too.
CDR?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, Toronto, Brooklyn. Brooklyn's up 2-1. I got Brooklyn winning in 5 or 6. I think they just handle the end of games a lot better than Toronto does.
Yeah, I agree. I have no idea what the final tally will be, but I'm taking Brooklyn.
Yeah. Finally, the last one, Chicago, Washington. Washington is up 2-1, and as we speak, they are up 20-8 in the first quarter with no Nene in Game 4 here. Who do you have?
I like Washington.
I want Chicago to win so bad for obvious reasons, but I can't see him beating Washington. Chicago just struggles so badly on offense.
Yep. And they have to play so much harder to win that I just don't think it's sustainable, especially in the 2-1 hole.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got the Wiz. The Wiz kids winning it all.
All right. I think that's everything then. That's a nice little first half of the first round podcast here. We should You want to get back together at the end of the first round?
For sure. Project that second round.
Yeah, we'll give some awesome picks because all of our picks are also always great.
Oh, yeah. You're getting the best when you listen to this podcast. But let's just take a moment to appreciate how good this first round has been. The first round is never this good.
Yeah, there's been parity across the board. We've had multiple buzzer beaters.
Yep. I was thinking that the NBA of all the major sports has the worst first round. So it's nice to see. It's nice to see this year that there's some parity. It's not just the high seeds advancing easily.
Exactly. I think part of that has to do with how many good teams there are in the West. So it's turning the West into like really just a crapshoot.
Is it the reverse in the East? They're all just so bad.
Yeah, and then the reverse in the East. Every team is so bad that anyone can win on any given night.
Nice. I agree wholeheartedly.
But all right, I'm gonna go catch the rest of this Chicago-Washington game. Hopefully, my Bulls can just find somebody to score. Hopefully, they don't have to rely on Mike Dunleavy dropping 35 to win a game.
Yeah.
I don't see that ever happening again.
Good luck to that. You should probably just plan on not making that money back.
Oh well. All right. I'll catch you sometime around the second round.
Sure thing, man.
All right. See you, bud.
See ya.